Hi guys, happy Sunday. Welcome to another live session with me, Clarice. I'm just gonna give you guys a couple of minutes to kind of get on in before we begin. Hi Patty, hi Leah. Glad you could make it, Patty. I guess you had a little bit of time today. Saw your beautiful painting in the group this morning. It gave me pure relaxation vibes, so I'm sure you had like a fabulous time painting that. Thanks, Patty. Okay, I am one of those people who, if you compliment me on something, I always have to tell you how much I paid for it. Toxic trait. $2 from what was it? Marshall's, I think. Yeah, I think it was Marshall's. I drove over to Buffalo back when the borders were open and we could actually freely travel pre-COVID times. And yeah. Hi, Christine. It's been such a long time. Glad to see you on here. I guess you've been busy with work. Hi, Carol. I know. And seriously, in the States, you guys have such amazing deals. Like, it doesn't compare to Canada because of all our taxes. Because we got to pay for healthcare, right? Nothing in life is really free. Yeah, it was $2. And then they had another version of this with some blue detailing in the thread. And I picked that one up as well. Because I was like, $2, you can't go wrong with that. Hi, Zanette. Okay, I'm going to start chatting because I can see there's like 15 people here already. Just wanted to give you guys a quick reminder that starting next month on, we are going to be doing Sunday Lives every alternate Sunday. So next Sunday is September 5th, also my mother's birthday. So I think it's good if we just take next Sunday off and then resume back on Sunday after that. So I'll see you guys then. So just kind of look out. If you haven't signed up for my emails, I typically send out one email a week, and it's usually on the Sunday to remind you, hey guys, we're starting soon. So that's literally the only email I send out. And then obviously in that email, there's links to the new video tutorials that I put out on the YouTube channel. So if you guys want to click on it, or if you've missed it, it's in the email. So if you haven't signed up, sign up for those, and then you should get one out in case you kind of lose track of which Sunday you're at. Or if you follow me on Instagram, there's another place in my stories that I kind of mentioned, hey guys, starting soon, come on and join me if you have the time. So those are the ways we can keep in touch, or you guys can be reminded. All right, so for those who've missed this week's tutorial, we did, let me switch over. We still kind of did the scenic views, and I kind of made it, I practiced like 3 times for this video, guys, so there was no winging it in this video. We did the tulip fields, which I was very, very, very pleased with. And so if you've not checked it out, you should definitely go head over, check it out. I really felt my inner Van Gogh / impressionist emerge when I did this using watercolor, because I've never really tried it with watercolor, but back in high school it was pure acrylics and very much so impressionist. So I really felt that come out. So if you've not checked it out, definitely check it out. I love how it turned out, and I love the color scheme as well for it. So I'm just going to put that aside. Oops. Don't want to shake that. And then tomorrow is the second virtual class for peonies. So if you guys have been, if this is your first time hearing about it, these are the kind of peonies we're going to be doing. So sign up for that. The email should be going out right after this. I'm going to send out the email to everyone who signed up already. So you should be able to prepare for the class tomorrow. And then tomorrow it is happening at 5 p.m. EST. All right, that's that. Let me move this aside. Today we are going back to loose florals. I'm going to walk you through all the items that I'm using today. And we're gonna have a little bit of a winging session, I'm not gonna lie, because I don't really have much planned outside of I just want to relax today. I just want to paint some loose florals and just have fun. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. As such, viewers will experience buffering. Are you guys experiencing buffering? Can you guys please tell me, because I just got this error message on my screen here, and I'm really hoping that this is not the case. Because it looks like internet seems to be fine, everything seems to be fine. Let me know in the comments or in the chat, guys, not the comments. In the meantime, I'm just gonna say a quick hi. Hi Julie, hi Cindy, hi Susan. Hi Sherry, welcome. Thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, Cindy and Christine definitely do the tulip fields. I can't wait to see your work in the group, so definitely post it there. No buffering. Okay, so I don't know why I get this big error message on here, so I'll just keep looking up every now and then to see in case anything is happening. But I think for now we can just... Oh, end of last week when it shut in and out. Oh, it cut in and out. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't really notice it in the replay either. Hi Jill, welcome. Okay, well, let's just kind of go with it, because I don't think it's internet, because internet seems to be, I got like 4 or 5 bands already. So let's just dive right in and see how this kind of pans out for us. And hopefully, let's hope for the best is what I am thinking. Okay, so I don't have colors planned, but I would like to use a combination of these brushes over here. So we're definitely going to do the Escada number 2 for details if I need any fine little details happening. I'm going to use the Da Vinci number 1 mop brush, which is always like my tried and true for florals. Silver Black Velvet number 4 for small leaves and details. I'm going to use the Zen Art Supplies from their Black Tulip collection, number 8 round, and a number 2 rigger. I find the rigger to be really nice for detailing, loose detailing, without really holding it tight like a pencil and kind of painting things in. So I'll keep these handy on the side here, and let's just see how that works out for us. I've got 2 little bowls of water handy on the side, you can see that. And for my colors, I am using, first time using for live, my 36 set White Nights. So I really have I'm excited to be using all these like reds and blues that we have happening over here. The issue I find when you have a buffet of options is that you kind of tend to mess up a little bit, and because I don't have a plan today, guys, I'm a little bit anxious, but let's just see how this goes for now. Let's just see. Okay, so we're gonna start off by doing our big blooms, which is typically how I do start off most of my paintings. Oh, I didn't mention about paper. I am using Canson XL, so I'm not using any fancy paper today. This is not 100% cotton. We're just using the regular paper that I do for most of my tutorial videos. And what I have done is I've kind of gone in and drawn in a border, because if you've watched my previous lives or any of my previous videos, when I'm doing stuff on a whim, I typically want a white space around, but I end up painting all the way to the end. So this time I think I have drawn myself this border just as a precaution. So let's see if I can actually follow through and kind of keep things within the lines, color within the lines. Let's just see if that works out for me. Okay, so we're gonna start off by doing a peony, because I'm doing peonies tomorrow, and I think today would be a good time to start practicing some of that. So I think if you've watched any of my peony videos, they're pretty basic. Well, basic if you've watched the videos and done them with me. I'm going to start off by using some of my cadmium lemon, and I'm going to start off by doing the center first. and I have my palette handy on the side too. And so this time I'm gonna make this peony kind of facing upward over here. So we're gonna go ahead and start doing the center, which is doing these little lines, leaving some white space in between, and I'm kind of going around, and then as I go around the circle and do the bottom half of the circle, I'm kind of doing little dots. And now once I have this, I'm going to go ahead and get my mop brush, and I'm going to get some of the, let's see, what color should I use? I'm going to get some of the Quin Lilac and Violet. Let's start with purples today. So Quin Lilac and Violet, and I'm just going to mix it onto my palette over here. So this is the Quin Lilac, and I think this is like one of my favorite colors from this palette. And then I'm going to get some of the Violet, which is typically what it was in the previous set that I had. Exactly the same. I'm going to get some more of that Quin Lilac and mix it in with the Violet to kind of give it that more rosy feel. So I think I've mentioned this many times to you guys, like I'm not a huge fan of how the Violet looks just by itself. I like to mix it in with a Madder Lake Red or the Carmine to kind of give it more of a ruby glow. I'm going to wash off some of this color on my paper towel and get some more of that Quin Lilac, mix it in here. Okay, so I've got a good variety of different colors happening. So we're gonna go ahead and use the number 8 to get some of the lighter color, and we're gonna use the lighter color for the outer areas of the peony. We'll use the darker color for the inner bits. So I'm going to be fluctuating between the two. So using some of the darker color that I already have on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and start making some petals on the upper area here. So pressing down, using the belly of my brush to kind of bring down all the color. I'm going to do a side one over here as well. Notice I'm leaving some white space in between. Now I'm actually going to take, I know I said this is only for the outer bits, but I want to have a little blend of this color happening in between these as well. So I'm going to take some of this using the number 8 and create a couple of strokes in here to kind of give it that nice alternating look. Getting some water on my brush, I'm going to do another petal over here. And then for the bottom half over here on this part, I'm just going to go revert back to my mop, and I'm just going to press down and kind of trail across so it looks like it's kind of underlying in that manner. And then I'm going to go back and get some of this yellow, because now that this area is damp, I want to get some more yellow happening in there, and if I can get it to mix in with that purple, I think it would be a nice blend, and I can see that happening, and I really like that. I'm going to get some of that darker purple happening. Oh, darker purple was on the mop. Just hints of it like around the lighter petals that we've kind of put in. And then maybe even switching out to get some of the Quin Lilac that we have in here. Perfect. And now that I have this, what I want to do next is, now we're just going to do these little C strokes all around to make it look like a fuller peony. Now that we've done the inner bit, so we need a lighter shade of the colors we've done. So you can either use one of the two brushes. I think I'll use the mop brush. I know I have a lot of color on there, but I need to wash it off so that it's not as dark and potent. So I need a nice wash of this Quin, or the purple mixed, the violet mixed with the Quin. And I'm just going to go ahead and create these little C strokes all around. Now, if you have the, what's it called? If you have this mop brush and you're using it for the first time, you're not well versed with it, The issue with this is you can end up getting a lot of color or not enough color, and that can be a little off-putting in your paintings or discouraging. But I would like to say, if you've never used it before, please do not be discouraged. It's all about the more you use it, the more you kind of get accustomed to how much water is too much water, and you'll kind of catch yourself, and you'll know when to go in with a paper towel and dab if it's too much, and if it's going to be pooling and giving you that ugly watercolor stain, which doesn't always look like a happy accident. Sometimes it looks a little bit off-putting, but not too bad. It's not a deal breaker is what I was going to say. So I'm just kind of adding a couple of little tiny strokes so that it looks like we have these nice dark petals in the center and then lighter all around. And once I am happy with what I have, I'm going to go ahead and just add a couple of details with the lighter lilac. Just adding a couple of strokes here and there so that it kind of ties in while this area is still damp and it still blends in with everything we've just laid down. How does it look on screen? Yeah, it looks good on screen. Okay. And so we have this nice round peony that we've done. So now that we've done this, we can kind of move on and get in another one of these happening. And let's transition into another color. So this time I'm going to mix in some of the, actually before we transition to another color, let's just do like a little bud kind of in the background. So I'm going to get the mop brush again, get in some of the darker purple that I have, and I'm going to go in and do a peony happening at the top over here. And you guys can see my screen, right? Yes. So I just press down, trailing off to kind of create this little peony bud. And I'm just kind of adding a couple of dots at the top so it looks like that's the opening. And I'll leave that as is. I have some of that yellow on my number 4, so I might just add a little bit of yellow just to kind of have it flare out in there. It's good enough for me. So now we can move on to, I know I said let's do another color, but I like how it's still damp there, so let me get some of my green. I'm going to get the green. It's called green. And I'm using my rigger. And I'm just going to get a little bit of the green underbelly area happening below. And let's get a nice like stem just like that. And then I'm getting some of the olive green while I still have some green on my rigger, and I'm just gonna create some loose leaves happening here. So dipping the tip of my brush in water so I can get a nice enough blend. I'm just creating these leaf strokes, maybe some just at the cusp of the bud that we have happening. Get in more of a blend of green and just do one more kind of at the bottom, and then let's move on to our next flower. Perfect. Okay, so next floral, I'm going to mix in some pink. So let's just get in some of the carmine. So I'm washing off my mop. I'm going to wash off the number 8 as well, and I'm going to get some of the carmine. As you guys know, I love my carmine. So I think Carmine would be good, and then I'll get some of the Quin Rose, which is also similar-ish, but the Quin Rose is, I think, a tad darker and more purpley in tone. And then I'm going to go back to my number 4, and I'm getting some of the yellow, and I am going to go ahead and get this time some of the yellow happening over off on this end, I guess would be good. So let's just do that. So same thing that we did previously. I'm just going to move this aside so you can see better, because I feel like sometimes these form a shadow on my sheet and it looks kind of dark. The bowls, that is. So just doing my little dotted bit all around. And then we're going in with the mop brush, and I have some of the Carmine on here already, and we're going to go ahead and create our little petals. So just like that. And we can do the alternating just like we did previously. And I'm touching some of the yellow, and because we've already pre-mixed our colors, we have our pink ready. It's kind of, the yellow is still damp, so we're getting a nice little blend of color happening there. I'm gonna do a nice little undercurve swatchy bit here, and then just do another like petal on this end. Perfect. And then I typically would like to use the mop brush to do our little blendy areas around it. So I'm going to use the mop one and just kind of go around. I'm leaving white space, and I'm just going to go around. And then I guess we'll use the number 8 for any highlights we want to do with it. And these ones, I'm just kind of trying to make it thinner because it's kind of facing upward. I don't want it to look too fat at the top, so I'm trying to do like thinner little strokes there. And then more like thicker at the bottom, so you're seeing more of the bottom as opposed to the top. And now let's go in with this one right here, and I'm taking some of the Quin Rose, and I'm going to add more hue in the center of it, wherever it is still damp. Well, some areas are not as damp anymore, but that's okay. And I'm going to try and add some of that in some of these little blended bits that we've added in there too. And I want the colors to blend in nicely so that they kind of dry off in this beautiful monochromatic feel of all these hues of pink and mauve in there. You know what? I'm going to take a little bit of that purple, and I'm just going to add some of it to the center. Let's just see how that looks. Not bad. And then I'm just washing off. Hi Joanne, I just noticed a question at the very, like the newest question there. This is not really new. Well, they're new, but it's still White Nights, and it's a set of 36 as opposed to my regular, I think I had 24. Yeah, so I'm excited for those. So typically it's the same, but I've got a whole bunch of new colors, which is why the palette's looking a lot fresher and maybe brighter. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to do a couple of leaves. So I'm mixing some of the olive green with some of the green onto my rigger, and then I'm just going to do a couple of leaves over here off to the side. I like to get some leaves in while things are still damp and give me that nice flare of color with whatever the flower color is. And I got a little bit of that happening over here, not crazy amounts of it, but it's all right. I'll just do another one here. Close that one off. And then just adding some darker green at the bottom so that we have a nice flare. Okay, so that's it for that stuff happening there. Let's try and do a couple of other florals before we get in some of the greens. We've got two of this happening. I think I would like to try let's try like one of those black-eyed Susans, but in the orange, yeah, in the orangey color. So I'm going to use the number 4 for that and number 8. So we're starting off with the center, and I'll do a couple here at the top and maybe like a couple falling down at the bottom. We should be doing a third big bloom, and I'll figure that out right as soon as we finish these black-eyed Susan bits. So for the center, I'm going to use a combination of the Mars Brown and Sepia. I think that should be good enough. So I'll use Mars Brown first and then start blending in some Sepia. So let's do one kind of hovering at the top here. So just forming my little center for our Susan. Actually, you know what? I don't even think we need another color for this, because between the white space and the dotted bit that we're doing, I think this is good. Yeah, I think this should be more than good. Okay, so I've done one. I think it would be nice to do another one of these. So let's have one. So if this one's here and we've got the petals happening here, let's give it a little bit of room to breathe and do one just protruding over here. So 2 here at the top, and then we'll do one down at the bottom. Now, I know I said number 8 for the petals, but if you want to wash out your number 4 and just, yeah, you know, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash out my number 4 and then use the number 4, because I don't want to mess up the, I don't want to get fat petals and make this a massively big rose, because it needs to be, sorry, big flower. It needs to be in proportion with these, which means it needs to be smaller than these peonies that we have. So I'm going to use a combination of the golden deep. We're going to use some of the golden deep, which is like a nice orangey hue. And let's just see if we need to use any other color in addition to it, because I think it should be fine if we just use this one. So I've mixed some of that on here, and I'm just going to go ahead and create, they're almost like the same technique you would use to make leaves, but we're giving it a little bit of a flow, kind of like that. And I want most of the color coming from the center. So if you have a little bit of bleed from the brown happening onto the petals, I think that would be nice. Let it happen. And I'm just letting it kind of flow down. I'll just do one here, kind of like very loosely. And then maybe one off in the background. I'm just mixing a little bit of the cadmium lemon for this one. And maybe adding a bit of the cadmium lemon to the center of it too. Perfect. I like how that is, so we're not going to overdo or overthink the colors on that. Moving on to the next one, let's just create the same thing that we've been doing. Technique for petals, that is. And doing another one on this end. So you see how like the center is still damp, and when I touch a little bit of the center and then create these petals, it gives us a nice pull of the brown, or what is it? Mars brown, yeah, into the orange, and it's really pretty. I like that. And I'll just leave that as is. Should have done that a little bit narrow at the top, but that's okay. We're doing like a loose style of painting, and this is typically what happens when you're not really concentrating and honing in onto how specific things need to look, because we're not going for perfection here. Okay, so we've done that. I just need to go ahead and create some stems for them. So I think for the stems, I'll use my chromium oxide that I have on here, and just gonna go ahead and draw that in lightly. And then do another one just right there. Great. And then we have to do another one of these, and so let's do one protruding on this end, because we've got a lot happening here. So let's do one here going downward. I'm just going to push this off so you guys can see. Great. Now washing this off, we're going to go back for that Mars brown and do the same dotted semicircle shape. And I'm leaving a couple of like loose dots at the end of these just to give it that loose look. I'll do some here too, so I didn't leave some there. Perfect. Now, what did I say? Golden deep. Yes, some of the golden deep. And since this is kind of downward, I'm going to just switch this over so I don't mess up. And paint that in just like that. Now these are also very similar to the chamomile tutorial that I have done. So if you guys are just tuning in and you don't know how to do these, check that video out and you can have a more in-depth session on how to paint florals like this. I believe that chamomile and also the daisy video that I have, it's very, very similar. Okay, so those are that. I think let's do our one big peony that we need to do, and then we can kind of move on from there. Sorry, we won't do a peony. We'll do let's do a rose. And for this rose, we're gonna use the #1 mop brush and the #4 black velvet. And for colors, I'm thinking let's use some of the Titan Red and Madder Lake Red Light. So we'll start off with using the Madder Lake for the center and then kind of go Titan Red on the outer bit, but we need both of them mixed on our palette anyways. So I'm just going to get some of that right here. And I'm getting some of the Titan Red as well. So we've got some of that orange happening in here. And I'm gonna start off by doing the center. And like I said, we're using the Madder Lake Red for the center. So I'll do this rose, turning it upside down, because I think this one should be pointing off in this direction over here. So let's do that. So I'm going to leave a little bit of space between these and have this starting off with tiny little comma strokes. Again, if you are new to my channel and you are new to roses, you should definitely check out some of the rose videos that I have done, because I've got quite a few. And it's pretty much the same technique over and over again. So I am creating these little tiny strokes all around. And then once I have that, I'm going to go in with my mop. I already have some of that nice loose color. And I'm just going to go ahead and blend it in with what I've laid down so far. I'm going to get some of the Titan Red. And add some loose strokes with that, dipping it into water to get like a softer blend. And I'm going dark to light because I really want there to be a proper differentiation between the layers happening. And I'm just kind of now blending the colors into all these little shapes that I've painted in. And just going in the center as well, using just the tip of my brush. I'm just blending these in. Perfect. I'm going to wash off most of the color from this brush, leaving just a tad bit. I think I just want to add very light strokes. Mainly at the bottom, not so much at the top, because remember, the whole idea of having a floral pointed in a direction is you want to have more folds at the bottom as opposed to the top. And now I'm going to get the number 4, getting some more of the Madder Lake Red. I'm just going to enhance the center by doing the exact same strokes that we did before, just to give it that nicer blend, because everything is nice and damp and you can get a really nice blend if you kind of go in with the right amount of color at this time. So just like that. And then I'm not going to overdo that, I'll just leave it as is. And then we have that rose done and ready. And now I think we can just do a couple of like really loose florals sitting around, and then do some leaves, and then we're kind of done. So for leaves, I'm going to go ahead and get the number 4 for the rosy looking leaves. And I'm getting some of the green. And let's see, do I want to mix it in with anything? I could mix some of the green with some of the ochre or even the Mars brown actually, and get like a darker, more browny looking leaf. It's one of my popular blends that I like to do for leaves, so let's do that for the roses. And I'll do a loose looking leaf right here. So I've literally started with the tip and I've pressed down the belly of the brush and kind of gone into this area there. I'm pushing all the dark color of this green down to the center, to the bottom of the leaf. I'll do another one over on this end. And then just get some of that darker brown maybe and just do this second half of the leaf just like that to kind of give it like a two-tone effect. And then like looser looking leaves, just very like a single stroke. Perfect. I'm getting some more of that green, and let's do some leaves over here. You guys can see, yes. Perfect. And I think I just want to do a couple of these styles of leaves before we kind of do, before we do some of the other florals to go on here. And I had mixed in some of the olive green with it. So I'm getting some of the olive green, and I'm just going to mix it in with whatever I just mixed, the darker hue. And I know I have some here, some here. Let's do a little bit happening down on this end. Actually on this end over here. And I'll just do a couple over here as well, in between these florals. And I'm making this one a tad darker so that it really does stand out from the rest, because otherwise the rest are like, it's just going to look like one big clump of leaves and like very flat looking. So that's why it kind of helps to have different variations of shades and hues of green. So then some look like they're in the forefront, some look like they're in the background, that sort of thing. So I think we've got some nice dark looking leaves here and there. When we go in and kind of add any more after we've done our little filler florals, I think it's good to kind of just go lighter on the green, so this way it kind of just looks like you're filling it up with background leaves. I think one here for the rose area. Okay, kind of got some green on the rose. Pushing down all the color. Joanne, if you want to order any of the stuff, and if you're wondering about how I could get credit, just look at any of the description in the videos of mine. Whatever you need to get, like, use those links, and those are the links that would kind of give me a little bit of a kickback. Again, I just put that there if people want to purchase something through the links, but you're not obligated to. You can absolutely go ahead and find your local area and store and purchase it from there. Maybe it's a better price, I don't know. But hope that answers your question, Joanne. All right, so just doing a couple of loose stuff here. Okay, perfect. Let's leave that as is, and now let's do our filler florals. For these, I think it would be nice if we kind of did something soft, not as overpowering and colorful as what we have going on here. So I think if we did something like tiny little blue flowers maybe, but almost like a bluish gray, and we'll use the number 4 for it, because I feel like the number 4 gives me more control over these things. Even if you wanted to use like an umber, just something that isn't overpowering to what we have here. So for this blue that I'm using here, I could also kind of blend in some of the leftover purple that we have and get some Payne's Gray, because this set has Payne's Gray, and I kind of really like Payne's Gray too. So you know what, I think I'll do Payne's Gray, mix it in with the purple, and it gives you like a nice purpley gray, and we'll just use that to kind of create what can possibly pass for maybe some white florals. And let me just blend that in here nicely. So got some of that Payne's Gray, and I've got a bit of this hue mixed up here. Yes, Cindy, paints great minds, right? Okay, awesome. So I think what would be nice is to fill up this area because it looks like it's a little bit open. So let's fill that up with some of this. And for these florals, I think it would be nice, yeah, if we just did like regular 5-petal florals, and we'll go back into the center and add like a darker gray to the center or something like that, just so they pop and they're not super light looking. The consistency I have it mixed here is like 80-20, so like 80% water and 20% color. And we're just kind of using tiny little strokes to create these little florals. Just like that. And even that I think is a little too dark. So I'm going to get some more water and really water this down. It's fine if some are a little bit darker and some are lighter. It might give you a nice monochromatic look and feel. Sometimes you just gotta test it out to see like how it transitions before you actually go for it. So I'm gonna get, let's see how this, yeah, so something like this. This is a lot lighter than the first try or my first efforts that I made there. Or maybe you could just start off one and then just keep dipping the tip of your brush in water, and then you keep getting lighter and lighter as you go along. And yeah, so you're typically just creating these little tiny florals to kind of fill up this area. Some of them are kind of overlapping-ish. And you know what? I'm going to use the number 2, and I'm going to get some of the dark purple that I already have on my palette here. And I'm just going to add a couple of tiny dots in the center of these. And the reason I'm doing this right now is some of the centers are still, some of the petals are still damp. So if I'm adding my dots right now, it's giving me a little bit of a flare within the petals. So what I will do is, once it's dried off properly, I can go back in with a darker hue and just really make the center stand out even more. But right now I have like a nice natural blend of purple and like that grayish purple happening. So I'm gonna go with that because I like to have like several different tones and shades. Okay, so I got that. I'm gonna do a couple more. And then maybe some peeking out from the actual little flower that we have there. If you feel like some of them are transitioning as too dark, just take your paper towel and dab. Paper towel is your friend. And we'll do some kind of coming outward a bit, so then it looks like there's you can have some stems kind of pushing outward. And just do some here. And some off to the side here so that it's like fading off in the background. Just like hovering around that stem with the Black-Eyed Susan-ish floral. And you could just like even just do a couple of like dabs and then take your paper towel and just kind of soak up the extra water that you have there. And this way you're kind of adding very loose detail in between this so that it doesn't look like very concentrated drawing or additions of florals in there. But there's other background florals happening and you kind of filling it up. And we can do some of that happening with the green as well. So keep that in mind. Don't overdo it too much. But it helps to kind of have that. Oh yes, we're going back in with this and some of that purple. I kind of missed the boat here on the areas where it was damp. That's okay. Still very pretty. And there's one here. Some happening there. So these areas are quite damp, and I'm just kind of adding it where I see. Now this is like you interpreting clouds when you go out for a walk, because I've done like a mishmash of little strokes here. You just gotta look and decide which one looks like a flower and which one looks like the center, and go with that. And then some maybe peeking out there, some peeking out here. Perfect. So I'm going to leave that like as is, and then determine where else I could have some. I can even have some over here, because I think the whole idea of having something diagonal really does help. These almost kind of look like lilacs, so I think we'll go with the idea of these are lilacs. Bunches of little lilacs in the background. So I've got leftover color. And I'm gonna kind of have them coming out a little bit over here, protruding, maybe then kind of touching into the Susans, but not as broad, hopefully. Pushing all the color down to the center. I'm trying to create these tiny little delicate florals. And overlapping. So that's why I'm not kind of painting in all the 5 petals. Creating the prominent ones first. And then we'll go in and do our little dabbing exercise, kind of like what we did down there. Perfect. And now back with the number 2 and just getting a couple of dabs of that nice dark rich purple. Into the centers. Yeah, just like that. It's perfect. And then we're doing a little dabs now. Oh, this was supposed to have a little bit of purple too, right there. It stands out some more. And as I'm going outward, I think I'm just adding more water to my brush so that now my my strokes kind of fade out into like a very light gray, purple, whatever you want to call it. Great, that's perfect. And I think I want some of that dabby effect happening here too at the bottom where it's like fading out. Again, this will kind of give it that fading out background feel. And also make it look a lot fuller, like there's a lot more happening there than you can actually see. Just maybe add some in between these guys too. Great, I'm gonna leave that as is. And I think we're good. We could add more of these somewhere else, but I think I'm gonna leave this just like that. And now we'll go in and add some additional leaves on a lighter tone, not as bright as what we have here, and lighter, yeah. So for this green, I really liked the green that I got for the Tulip Fields video when I mixed in some of the purple with the green that I had left over, and it was like a grayish kind of feel to it. So I'm going to try and do that here on my palette, and let's just see what I get. Because if I get like a grayish green and a very muted version of it, I think I would like to have some of those leaves in the background kind of filling up nooks and crannies. And I'm using my number 4 for this. Alright, so I got a nice enough green, mixing that violet purple with the green on my palette, and I'm just going to go ahead and start. First of all, I think I want to do a couple of little strands in between here, just kind of making it look like they're connected. Just a few, not too many within these little florals, because I don't want it to be too detailed, because we're trying to be very loose in our style here. So, and then I'm just going to try and add a couple of like leaves in between here so that they don't look like that whole bunch of white space doesn't look random and weird. Okay, so I'm just mixing or filling in some of these little tiny spots too, just a little bit, so it gives us that shape for the floral before we go in and do more leaves, like proper leaves all around, I mean. Okay, so now I'm ready to do the leaves, like the bigger ones, I mean. So I'm mixing that hue on here, leftover color, always recycling, right? Let's start off by doing a couple over on this. I don't want to put my hand over this, so let's do some over on this end. And I'm going to try and make these one of those airy looking creeper type leaves. So you've got like a stem coming out and then just leaves protruding out from it. Something like that. Doing the same kind of effect happening over on this end, just a tad bit. So this gives us a good amount of height at the top here. Let's do some here. I think this is dried up now. I can kind of go here in between these. And I'm literally just kind of adding very loose strokes. You can see the leaves are not even like fully formed. Not all of them at least. Just trying to keep it loose and light and framing what we've already kind of painted in. Bye, Patty. You can finish the rest later on if you have time. All right, we're gonna do, so we've done some there. I'm gonna finish some off at the bottom here. And there's not much more that we really need to do because I think we've got those areas. I think maybe just around this area a bit and then we are good. I don't want to do any in this bit here, but I think having a couple of strokes here within these would help. And then just very loosely, lightly over here at the bottom. Mixing more of that color. Adding it almost as a framing happening by this rose. And we are almost done. And then I can kind of look at the chat and see if you guys have any questions. I think I want a little bit here maybe, just because this flower looks like it's alone a little bit. Yeah. Oh, and then one last thing before we kind of end it off is it's nice to kind of go in and just add a couple of green in between the main florals, so then it kind of really seals it all in together, or not if you kind of like how it looks so far. But I would just do a little bit of dabbing here and there in between. Mixing a little bit of more color because I think I just want to do a couple of areas here, and that should be good. Getting more of that green here. Yeah, okay, that's it. I'm gonna leave this as is, and we are done for today. So Hope you guys like this. Let me see if anyone has any questions or comments or anything. I'm just going to move all of this aside so you can see this clearly. Okay, so Cindy's asking, you ordered the Zen brushes, yay, awesome. Yes, I really like them because like I mentioned, that was my first experience using the rigger, and they've got a good enough variety, and they're fairly inexpensive, and they're actually pretty good quality, so I don't mind using them. The reason that I have not been using them as often is mainly because it doesn't have a 4. It has mainly, the smallest is a 2, which is the rigger, which I love. And I guess if you're painting larger scales, they would be fabulous. And I know if I use any of the other brushes that the pack comes in, I will be needing a lot more space. But that's an issue that I have, and I could always work on it, but I'm a little bit lazy about it. So I love them for the scenic views, and then the rigger and the 8 for these bits. I have to experiment more with, like, this one is still in the pack. I've not used it. The flat brush, so I should probably use that because I think you can get some really nice lines and using the edge to kind of create more leaves and stuff. So we're gonna get a lot looser at some point. Oh, that's amazing. $6. You can't be beat with that. Thanks, Leah. You're sweet. I can't wait to see yours. I'm sure you'll post at some point. Thanks, Rachel. Rhonda's asking, sorry, what brushes do you use? Are you talking about this painting here, Rhonda, or just specifically? Because I have listed all my products that I use in the description of pretty much all the videos. You can find it on this video as well. The names and links and everything, so you can check that out. For today, I mentioned earlier what I was using. It is the mop brush number 1, Escada number 2, Silver Black Velvet number 4, the rigger number 2, and then round number 8. Yeah, that was for today. Anyone else have any other questions? Thanks, Susan. I'm glad you like it. Thanks, Rhonda. Yeah, and just feel free to like send me a message if you meant, like, if you had a very specific question. You guys can follow me on Instagram at HelloClariceG, or send me a message on Facebook. Although Facebook I find is very finicky. When people send me DMs on Facebook, I don't get notified right away, and it's weird. So I think Instagram DM is way better, or send me an email. Okay, I think that is it. I know Patty left early. I'm just scrolling up to see if I missed any other questions. I think there was a little bit of chit chat, but everything was fine. There were no questions. Okay. Okay, I guess that is it. Susan's asking, how about some birds with your florals? Yeah, you never know. I'm gonna definitely try and put some more birds out. I know I did the cardinal, and then there was that other little guy that I did for Christmas last year with the wreath. But I do want to put together a what's the word? A challenge, and it's going to be almost like a mixed media kind of challenge, and this is to prepare everyone for the holiday season. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it'll be smaller than what I did for the Hello Clarice G challenge, but hopefully it is something that you guys find value out of and do. And it'll help you make a lot of stuff for the holiday season to kind of give away, right? And yeah, so stay tuned for that. Definitely going to be focusing a little bit more on that. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for your comments. Thanks, Jill. Yeah, I'm gonna look into the bees and butterflies. I actually have 2 videos out on butterflies, just FYI. So you guys should check that out. I just recently realized I didn't have any of my YouTube videos on display in the beginning, so I fixed that. So you don't have to kind of scroll through tens and hundreds of my videos. All right, guys, that's it this time for sure. Have a fabulous Sunday with your friends and family. Wishing you lots of love and light. Bye.